If you're brand new to shadow work, this is just something for you to be aware of, how you can navigate doing your own shadow work so you don't get stuck doing shadow work in a perpetual state of always needing to heal yourself, always needing to fix yourself, always feeling like there's still something wrong with me. No. Aloha and welcome everyone to the Human Design in Real Life podcast. I am your host, Wynd, with our co-host, Karen Kartika, today. And the episode today is, are you overdoing shadow work? And I just saw 11:11 on my time. So I'm going to take that as a sign that we are right on time. Are you overdoing shadow work? Because we do hear a lot these days about healing your shadow. And so what is your shadow? So when we say, what is shadow work? Shadow work is ultimately you owning those characteristics about yourself that you don't like. And the way that I can always see what are the characteristics that I'm denying in myself. Shadow work is about, say, for example, I am projecting something that I perceive onto another person. Like, oh, wow, she's so bossy. Like, she really, and I don't like that about that other person, or I can be really extra overly judgmental or critical, or even be like, I don't like that she does that. Then I can take that as a self-reflective opportunity to turn that mirror back on myself and see and witness with inside of me, oh, where do I do that? Where am I denying that aspect of myself? So that's how I've looked at how I can do shadow work. But then there comes a point where you recognize these parts about yourself. It's a quick turnaround time. And, oh, I'm totally projecting X, Y, and Z onto this person. Oh, I'm totally projecting my insecurities or doubts or my imperfections onto this other person. It's a quick turnaround. I can self-reflect. But if this is something new to you and shadow work is new and you're having that aha moment of consciousness inside of yourself where you are maybe hearing this for the first time, and maybe you're like, whoa, I had no idea that I had a tendency to do this, or I didn't even recognize the fact that, oh, I do this in this circumstance, or in these circumstances or these experiences, I would do this. And when you're doing shadow work, there's an opportunity for you to self-reflect and then take necessary steps or mindset shifts or reframes or action steps to own that part of yourself and transition into a more elevated and expanded state of consciousness.
What would be good indicators for people who are overdoing shadow work? And for those who are new, what will be the indicator if you have not done your shadow work?
If you're brand new to shadow work, this is just something for you to be aware of, how you can navigate doing your own shadow work so you don't get stuck doing shadow work in a perpetual state of always needing to heal yourself, always needing to fix yourself, always feeling, oh, there's still something wrong with me. No, the point is to recognize that there will come a time that you will have reestablished new neural networks in your brain, new habits, new patterns, new reframes, new thought forms so that it becomes not so in your face or in the forefront, but more almost like as easy as breathing. And so it's less about always needing to heal or fix yourself. There comes a time when you then take what you've learned and you're the natural embodiment of the practice. And then you're able to step into your truth and share. You're able to teach and lead from that perspective. And then also be able to coach from that place, be able to be a role model from that place, be able to be a lead by example person who's done the work and then can share that example with other people. So that's almost like another beautiful benefit, whether professionally or just being an amazing human being in your life, sharing that just in your family, in your network, in your community. I do believe that it's fascinating because I still see it in different dimensional realities. There are people still operating in the old frequency of not everybody's healed. Not everybody, there's still people operating from wounded places. Like, there's still people out there that don't even know how to regulate their nervous system. There are still people out there that haven't done this work yet. And I still, because like when you get into our little micro bubbles, it's, oh yeah, doesn't everybody do this? No, not everybody does this, which is why one of the things that we've done with the HGOS book and the Oracle deck and the Inner Guidebook is allowing people to witness the shadow, see the characteristics of shadow expression, see the characters of limited frequencies of the expression, and then what they can do to transcend and expand into higher states of consciousness and how to raise their vibrational frequency, because it's a common buzzword. Oh, raise your vibration. Oh, just raise your vibration. Oh, raise your frequency. How do you do that? You do that by first witnessing, recognizing where you're at, what states of consciousness that you're expressing or experiencing internally and or externally, and then witnessing and expressing, okay, what's the other option, and changing your habits and patterns and your thoughts to then look at it differently, see from a new perspective, and change your behaviors and your thoughts from a new place of awareness within inside of yourself. Because, and this is making me think of a quote that has variously attributed sources. It's this quote that says, watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. And watch your character, because it will become your destiny. So it's just a habit of every single thing that we have, every single thing that exists, even in the world, was once just a thought. It was just a thought that someone had, and then put the thought into words to express it, to explain it, put the words into the actions to do it, to make it happen, what needs to be done, what needs to do this. And then those habits and patterns become solidified in your physical form. And then that is who you become, essentially. And then that can be also applied to if inventions, creations, all the computers, the internet, our phones, every single thing that we have tangible was once just a thought. It was just a thought. It was an idea. The clothes that we wear, the things that we put on our face, everything is just a thought. And I love that because we forget that everything was once a thought.
Wonderful way of putting it together for us to remember that all our thoughts are the one that create our reality. So how can we give an examples for our audience today and how they can actually use our deck or the book to, instead of looking at the shadows, or I think we also need to give an example. What does it feel like overdoing a shadow, right? To be overdoing a shadows, and how they can actually use the tools that we provided in the deck and the book to help them get out of just doing overdoing shadow work, and have an actual step by step to get out of that mode, or not get out, but I think Richard Rudd in his book put it really nicely. When there's a shadow, first you just need to be to know that, oh, there's a shadow. You can hate it, you can be angry at it, you can toss it, you can like, this is not me, whatever it is, it's there. And then what was his word? Embrace is the last one. Acknowledge that it's there, that is like the pattern is there within you. Start noticing how it seep into your actions, how you say, how you communicate with others, how you treat other people, what thoughts are coming out in your mind. And then really embrace it. All shadows is just part of you. If you're a light being, you always cast a shadow. And the shadow is just a way for you to come back to the light. So now that you're aware, what can you do about it? So I think that's another part that we put in the book, where there's an easy, practical way. Sometimes it's not easy because it does require some work, deep internal work, so that you can step into your light even more. So you're not just staying and battling your shadows, but making a step to actually implement the opposite of the shadow, which is the light, who you are, to be in your action, to be in your expression, to be in your thoughts. So I think that's how we want to balance, by also giving this podcast as like a reminder. Hey, are you always being in the shadow work, but has not really stepped out of the shadow work itself? Because knowing, embracing doesn't change anything unless you're taking the step to be in the light. Change or transform who you are, your habits, your character, your actions into more alignment, like what people say, coming home to yourself, right? Being more in alignment with who you are.
Yeah. So the first thing, and this is what's coming to me, because I was like, what's like the biggest, because we talk about the shadow and it just makes your ego, your human self be like, oh, those aspects about me. Like, oh, goodness. But I think the first step is recognizing that we all have these challenges. And I think it's, if you can find that place where and sometimes it might be harder at times than others, but coming into a loving state of self-acceptance. And even though you might not feel that way, but it's almost like looking at your shame or your guilt, judgment, or like judgment being overly critical, and having some heart and compassion and love for that aspect of yourself, and being like, it's okay. You're innocent. You come in, and just because certain things have happened in your life and that you have behaved a certain way, or it just needs like that. It's like a softness, a level of self-compassion for yourself. All right, Karen. So let's show an example about what you might have experienced in overdoing shadow work within your own human design profile, gate numbers that you resonate with, and that there's a one that you find that you've also found challenging.
Yeah, sure. I think for me, the symptoms of overdoing the shadow work is that I'm a personal growth junkie. I read a lot of books. I do a lot of healings. But understandably, when we do step into a healings, your life, my life, turn to be a mush. Everything's messy, because part of the work of being in the healing period is that everything's got shattered. All the beliefs, all the junks energetically are just being crumbled. Now, there are points that crumbling is needed, but when things are shattered, where the place is being clean, I have to remember, which I didn't do it very well back in the days, is that I have to organize things. I have to put things together. What do I really want? And that's what do I want is usually the toughest one to implement. So the first symptoms that I notice when I'm doing a lot of or overdoing the shadow work or doing a lot of the perpetual healings is that my life becomes a mess. It's so messy that I don't even have that things are not moving forward, right? I'm doing all these healings, but I still feel stuck. That's usually where I know that I'm overdoing healings, or I make the healing process to be an excuse, or I use the shadow to be an excuse of not actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing, not installing what it is that I want, what is that I desire, the affirmations of, okay, if not this and what. And I think we're going to look at it in one of my gates if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
And again, like, you're being in one healing process, you're doing your shadow work, you're coming out raw. And instead of now like having this clear space and putting the things that I want in, instead, I'm like, I'm not feeling good. Sometimes when things are not moving, I still feel stuck. Everything's messy. I end up going to another healing session, another shadow work, thinking that I have not finished with that one, which in some period of time, especially if you're just beginning your healing journey, your spiritual awakening, yeah, there's a lot of healing process that you need to go through. And especially if you're like me and MG, that you just want to get to the end of it, you just want to do everything all at once. And if it's not giving me the result, I want to redo it over and over until I get something. But what I saw it's been missing in my journey is that, okay, I have a clean space, but what is it that I really want to put in? And that's where I feel I get stuck. My life gets a bit messy. I'm grappling like when I'm talking about messy, it's really messy. I see it in my finances. I'm seeing it in my business. I'm seeing it in my career. I'm seeing it in my relationship with others. And in that space, if you're not reaching out, if when I was not reaching out to the right person to then help create and transform the life, that's when I know I could just continue hovering in there without making a step out of it. And I feel that's why when we're creating this deck, I really love your perspective on shadow work, because we're not just going to say, you know what? Say, I don't know why I'm just taking like this gate, right? Friction. And you look at this gate, you're like, especially if you have this in your prominent planets or your prominent, the part of your design that really plays a part in things that are going on in your life.
Yeah.
You can really then use this as, oh, but I'm always going to create frictions in others. That means maybe my relationship with others will never be balanced or in harmony. Or you can also use a shadow of, I'm going to just create friction all the time because that's who I am. And then you wonder why your life is a mess because all the friction that you create. However, and this is also the card that the friction is needed to create something beautiful like a pearl. And that's what we also want that we put in the books are ways for you to be in the position of creating the pearl instead of just taking it and blowing it up, not creating, but destroying it.
Yes.
That's what I appreciate from Wyn and the creative process that she has, that we're putting it out there so that people are not just not using it, but there are a lot of explanations of the light and the shadows or the gift or the shadows from each of this human design gate, but there's no real practical ways of elevating yourself, transforming your life. And like that little poem that Wyn said, how do you use this so that you can create the right thoughts so it will transfer into your habits and your characters? And in that process, you're starting to see that your realities change because of that.
Yeah. Yes. This is an inside job. I always like to say that changing your life and changing your external circumstances is always an inside job. If you're going to be wanting to cultivate things that last, or even doing things with less resistance or in flow and in alignment, instead of trying to do it the hard way, which was a little bit counterintuitive, like changing your external circumstances to to affect the inside, which is what our society, culture, world, population has been doing for a very long time. We have been doing this for a very long time, but instead it's a little bit, we've switched it over to doing it differently and have it be the opposite of first change your inside and then the external will follow suit. That's also, let me see here. Hold on. I'm wondering if making sure that this thing keeps going. I'm also wondering, let me just write that little timestamp. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ethan. And I have some timestamps, and then if we get the transcript, it'll be easier to find where I've made snafu. And just a little segue tangent. It just makes me, I don't know if I should put this in this one or maybe this should be in another episode. I just keep seeing like if certain things are falling apart in your life, or maybe I'll just add that to another one. Let's go with the example. Yeah, the example. So do you want to get into 49? Do you want to delve into your 49 and just do since this is human design in real life? I like how you said that you get stuck and that you keep making the same habit. You keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's that old phrase, doing the same actions with wanting a different result, but you keep doing the same thing and it's the same thing. The outcome is always the same. And if you notice that the outcome is the same, then it's time to change it up and do it a little differently. And that's where the shadow work comes into play. The beauty of the deck is that you can use this to see what gates are activated in your human design chart and see those are the gates when they're activated in your chart. Those are points of consistent themes that you can learn from, consistent themes that you are here to experience, also to offer others, to offer people in the world, and themes that you're here to share, and then themes that you can learn for self-reflection. So this is where it's actually really good to take a look at your chart, see what gates you have activated, say your sun, moon, Mercury even, and see what gates those are lit up. And then also see the shadow characteristics to see where you can then, what areas that you're learning and that your human self is learning to navigate in your life more graciously, more being like the best version of yourself, essentially. Because then that ultimately affects and changes the world that we all know that we want to live in. We all see that we're pretty much tired of, at least we're getting very tired of war, trauma, strife, challenges, struggle. Like we have the technology these days. We don't need to live this way anymore. And I do believe that it starts from within. So Karen, you have gate 49
in my
conscious earth. Okay. So then this is how you ground your energy of the sun. All right. Do we want to read from the book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that.
All right. Should I read the whole chapter?
No.
Yeah. So should I just read like the shadow side? Or we could do like shadow and then light? Or like the questions? Okay. So just so everybody knows, okay, so what is gate 49? Gate 49 is the gate of principles. It's personal revolution, evolution, standing up for what you hold near and dear to your beliefs. And when you look at the card, you see it has the revolutionary, it has very revolutionary principles. It's the principles that you are willing to stand and fight for, and you're willing to die on that hill. The things that you stand for, that you are willing to take it to the hill and die for it. It's a very potent gate. I have definitely...
It's a very annoying gate. And I'm just kidding. I have no idea how to, and I think for the better of me, I can see where this gate is playing out, because I think I never really believe in just take things for it is. I've been championing personal development for over what now? 15 years. Starting and making my own evolutions on saying, okay, there's a better way and how I can do life. Not saying that I'm there 100% and mastering the whole thing, but I'm starting to see how this is playing out in terms of how I manifest my life up to date. In one of the chapter and the passage that we wrote, is that you will sense when areas of your life are depleted, neglected, or lacking, and you will take a swift approach to rectify them, often because you finally reach a breaking point and your emotion compel you to move on. Because in part of this energy, it's like you always revolutionize something in your life, especially because I have this in the earth body. It's when things are not the way that I feel in harmony. That's probably, if you're asking who can do or overdoing shadow work, I probably do the most, because I'll be like, no, it's time to change again. No, it's time to break this apart again. Oh, no, we need to create a different evolution in this area of life. Now, the bad thing is I can be in the perpetual redoing. If you have a house and you're redoing a house and you keep redoing it, but you never live in it, that could materialize in my life. And the shadow of it is fear of rejection. Because I do a lot of this work, that means I don't have to put myself in the position where I can be rejected, meaning really living up on the spiritual self of me, like the soul, right? What the spirit wants me to be in this present moment, which I have conscious done 4. Was it 4?
Yes.
Yep. That's going to be a different episode on that one. And I'm just going to stay in this 49 today. The shadow 49 is that you fear rejection and often lead to reject others first so that you don't feel rejected. Your feelings are getting in the way of what you want. So then you fawn, freeze, not really clear on how you feel, and you don't have clarity because your emotions are getting too enmeshed. You could also be resistant to change and lack of conviction. Because after doing a lot of overshadow work or doing a lot of healings, if the part of me that wants to change something but not changing it, and it's like, oh, I'm too tired already. I've already done all. And this is another excuse that I've seen in myself. I'm doing a lot of work already. Yes, I'm doing a lot of shadow work, but not really creating the change, and lack the conviction to actually bring the real evolutions of, like I said earlier, right? The areas that being neglected, lacked, and depleted are not being taken care of. What the opposite of lack, depleted, and neglected is flourishing, abundance, everything looks good, which is what the original goal is, to really create something better, right? Positive. But instead, I'm staying in the neglected part. I'm staying in the depleted part because at one point, because I think that I'm doing all the works, it feels comfortable to be in that side, because it's comfortable not being in the positive of it, which is like abundance, my life being in light, shiny, looking good, being out there, presenting myself, right? Putting myself out there. Because that part, even though, yes, in my head, I really want that. I want to be that. I want all this amazing greatness, goodness in life. But to get there means I have to get out of myself, my way of, if I'm in that position, what will people think of me? Mm-hmm. Those who know me of being in that lack, depleted, and neglected, they accept me for who I am next, who I'm becoming, right? What will people say when I'm putting my light out there? of will they accept me? Will they reject me? And that's the biggest fear in 49, right? Feeling rejected. So then there's a tendency of me then becoming complacent and reluctant to break free from what is already being normal. So just the analogy of it is if you're renovating your house, right? You said, okay, I want my house to be second, it has 2 levels with 4 pillar, gold trimming everywhere. And in the middle of your breaking down everything, you said, am I good enough? Like, what will people think that now that I raise my house to 2 levels? Will people then start to think that I'm arrogant? Or will people think, oh, now I'm obstructing their views? And then you're like, in the middle of your construction, you're like, maybe I don't do it to 2nd level. Maybe I just keep it in 1 level. And then you're thinking about, oh, I have this idea of gold trimmings. If I put all the gold trimming on the outside, will people then think of me as being show offish? And what will they like? All of that, right? So
Wow.
in the middle of your own home renovation, you started to chip in and said, okay, I'm not gonna, yeah. And then you end up with the same house, even worse, under construction house. And that's, I feel like, the shadow of 49 and the overshadow work on the 49, you end up with a broken house. It's never done. It's never the way that you want it to be, but it stays lesson because underneath it all is my own fear of, well, self-worth, right? Do I have enough in me to achieve that? And rejections means like I'm still taking in on what other people are thinking of me, which it's a work in progress. But at one point, this work in progress needs to stop. I do want to have a house, not just an under construction house. So that's an example that I can give on my own life of.
I love how you focused on using the analogy of a house and then curtailing the process of, oh, what are other people going to think of me if you, so instead of revolutionizing and evolving into the bigger house that you really truly want, you start thinking that, oh no, oh, maybe I should just keep shrinking my level back down to make it be safe for other people. And if it's safe for other people to accept me, and then and then you end up with the same house. You ultimately, and then you don't actually change or evolve the process. Okay, that was a really...
Because the house is already under construction, so the walls open.
Half the roof is missing. You've already started the process. You're like, I can't really live in it. It's not really that livable. I'm not. And then you're like, man. And then what did I end up with? The same house. So then what do we need to know in order to stop curtailing ourselves with the 49 energy? What actions, what habits, what new patterns can we do?
First, acknowledging, right? I think this process of me even expressing it bring to the forefront of what it is that I've been defeating myself in the process of the revolutionize my life. That the acknowledging what the shadow looks like in my life and how I created this in the first place. And on the book, we give some journaling prompts to really do self-reflections. Of course, if you're not familiar with your own shadow and how it's actually coming through your life, but how to activate this energy. This is so fun because sometimes I wrote this thing thinking it's a great idea, but it was not a great idea if I have to do it. So we'll see what I wrote in how to activate this energy.
Past Karen, now talking to future Karen, says, I don't know if I want to do this.
So aligning with Gate 49 requires self-awareness, courage, and a willingness to stand up for what you believe in. Trust yourself, honor your emotions, and strive to create positive change in your life and the lives of those around you. So I have a 6-step points here. Take time to tune into your feelings and allow them to guide you. Pay attention to your okay, this is the hardest part. Pay attention to your intuitive sense of what feels right and resonates with your principle. Because even though I said, oh yeah, I'm pretty intuitive. Yeah, wait until you have to listen to your intuition and actually align with it and resonate with it and take action, right? Because sometimes the mindset, rationally, this makes sense. Let's just do it. And then you check in with your intuition, and intuition's like, yeah, no, wait. Yeah, no, wait. Realign first, then take action. I'm like, no, but wait, my mindset, this, yeah, the battle, the conflict within my own self. So that's number one, tuning in, working. That's one thing that I know I have to do. Embrace your authentic self and be true to your values. Clearly define your principles and convictions and let them guide your actions and decisions. Taking example of the home renovation, right? If I don't really have the blueprint or seeing the end results and really stick with it, because that's what values and principles and convictions about, having the vision of it, having all the blueprint and how things are gonna go into place, and really just following it through. And I know this is part of why I truly enjoy working together with you and creating this human design, especially because it does lay out the blueprint as well.
Yeah.
Make me want to really hone in into the value and the principles, because that fear of rejection can definitely sway me into believing, oh, maybe it's not for me. While now that if I see my design, I know exactly where my strength, I know exactly what my principles are, the energy behind it, and what I'm just learning is the core stability, the thing that in your unconscious that actually, if you align it to your positive self, then it's actually the one that will create that stability inside yourself without you having to overthink it. So that's something that I'm really, truly appreciate as I'm digging deeper into the work of human design. And then the third one is to choose my battle wisely, focus on the one that align with your principles and have the potential to bring positive change.
Yeah.
Again, choosing the battle could be like that conviction, not being like, oh, but what do people say, and things like that. And be open to breaking away from old patterns and establish ways that embrace opportunity for transformation and growth. And this is something that I think what Wynn already say over and over is, okay, with the old patterns, then you have to make an effort to break it, because that's one thing about shadow works and healing works. Are you just taking a medication, like any Western medication, right? Oh, just take a medication for your headache. Or are you changing the pattern that create the headache? So am I changing the pattern that create that fear, that create my perpetual doing of healings, so that I can be in control or be bigger than that fear? Because if you think about fear, if fear is just fear, if we can treat it as something real or we can treat it something not real, that's what I said by being bigger than your own fear. So that's also my work, is that understanding where the old patterns, so that I don't repeat it, especially when I'm like, oh, I'm afraid of this, so I'm going to reject the other person. I'm going to reject the invitation, so then I don't get rejected when I'm actually doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So understanding that pattern for me is very important. And then putting something positive. What do I want to do then? So then I don't keep pulling myself away or rejecting others. Can I allow myself to say yes, even though the fear is there? Can I just do it anyway to see what's the other end, positive or negative? This is also my practice, is positive, negative is just an experience. I rather know than not knowing. So let me just step into it and be detached to the end result, because part of evolution is that we don't know what's going to happen unless we're there. And then build connection with like-minded individuals who share the same values and principle. This is also, again, for me, environment is very important. The people that I connect with, if they're in the depleted mindset, that's where the fear comes, right? When I'm stepping into my light, will they accept me? Then another way to change this is then surround myself with people who will accept me, who champion me to be in the light instead of being in the opposite. And then The sixth step is to listen to my inner voice. That's kind of repetition. So on trusting your intuition. So are the step by step that I thank God I wrote it. Establish what I can start thinking about, working through, instead of staying in just, okay, yeah, great. I have this fear of rejection. So what?
Yep.
It's the what that I can step into.
I find it so amazing how this information has essentially been channeled to you as well. And then you're able to take a look at this and then start to implement. And also, and for me as well, even though there are probably aspects that I do look forward to looking at my own chart and meditating and seeing parts. It's always in that, especially when it's in the incarnation cross, which is sun earth placements. Those ones are really juicy for you to, those gates and those activations are really juicy to see and to discover inside of yourself. What else is in there that part of you doesn't want to look at, but then the other part, it's like the little angel and devil on your shoulder. No, but it would be really good if we did look at that. I think we need to look and change this. Oh, it's just the.
Yeah.
But then facing your fears, having the courage, and then because ultimately it will get you into where you truly want to be in your life. Because we always have these growing pains of manifestation, buzzword manifestation, right? In order to align with your new vision, certain things need to change inside of yourself in order to help you align with that vision that you have for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so this is just one way for you to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait, let me hold on a second.
Do you on your own, or do you want to add in to the examples that I've?
Let me see. So have you seen do you have a real life example, either recently or that either recent or even like an old version of Karen, like old Karen that you have actually, that you can see this pattern occur, and then where you've seen the transformation or where you've even applied this before in your life? And it could be big or small. It doesn't matter. It's just like a small example. I actually can think of Ethan, who my husband, he also has this gate in his unconscious earth, or it's in his unconscious body. It's either in his sun and earth. I have to double check, but he also has this. But I find it really fascinating that you said that fear of rejection and the fear of rejection. And then I'll just reject them first, because that was a massive shadow work piece for Ethan to work through a couple of years ago. I mean, that, like, when you started saying that, like, oh, I'll just reject other people or reject this thing, so I'm not rejected initially, that was a huge learning curve, personal development, personal self-awareness piece for him. Yeah. So I thought that was really fascinating. And then but you know what, even now, even now, when I look back at the things that he was rejecting or certain things that he wasn't quite there yet to receive, in retrospect, it all happened perfectly how it was meant to happen. And it also goes along the lines of that, I think it's a Chinese fable with the sun, with the man and the sun, and good luck, bad luck, who's to say? It's like circumstances might look bad, but it's all ultimately for a reason in the greater scheme of things, or in the long run. So it's hard to say. It's like, we don't really say that like the shadow is bad either. Maybe, so maybe I'm looking for an example that you could maybe elaborate on. Yeah.
My biggest lesson in this lifetime is relationship.
Okay.
I mentioned this to you a while back. So I was so funny. I was just looking at my journals from 2011, 2012. And there was this almost kind of like a letter that I was trying to send to my then boyfriend, which I didn't send. And I had it on my journal. And it was just like, who the hell is this woman? Like the despair that she was writing this letter with. And if I look back and I see this like a movie, it'll be like a very dramatic movie. And I can see how this energy of 40 play out, because back then, this guy came into my life that was just like amazing, like a drop from the universe. Oh, here you are, the man that you want, that you've been dreaming of. He came, this is 2012, and I was starting my real estate business. And I was doing an open house, and this man walked into one of my open house, and he was just a perfect gentleman. And after seeing the house, I knew, I'm pretty sensitive. I knew he was not looking for the house. He was looking for me. So he just, okay, here's my number. If you ever wanted to talk more or catch up over coffee, here's my contact info. I'm like, thanks, universe. This is pretty awesome. During this time, I was looking for a man. I wanted to be in a relationship again. So this is, my prayer is being answered. Perfect. And we hang out. Of course, I email him right away. I said, okay, let's meet up for coffee. So we met up. We had a great conversation. And we're starting to get really intimate with each other. But here I was. This is me haven't been really deep into my own awakening. Like, oh my God, this man is great, but I'm sensing like there's something missing. There's something that, because again, I want things to just, let's just get to the end right away. Let's just become like boyfriend and girlfriend, or you know what? Let's just get married right now. And I was so eager, and I was like wanting the other person to love me and accept me so much that I didn't. And this is happening unconsciously when I'm becoming like not curious. It's how come he hasn't called me yet? Oh, how come we're not meeting this weekend? Why is he not here? Like, why is he not attentive to me? So I'm starting to cripple myself with my own thoughts and starting to say, oh no, this guy he does not like me. He's not liking me enough to want to be with me. So that fear is starting to creep up, right? Oh, what if he doesn't really love me? I like him. So what if I'm putting myself out too much and will get myself hurt? That fear of being rejected. So then instead of communicating that, instead of being open or you're a girl and you're in a relationship, you do want the other person. First, you just say it. Second, don't say it too much to look like you're desperate. And three, you need to like being that push and pull a little bit, because you need to also look at the options. And that was me being too focused on just this one guy, thinking that, oh, but universe already sent me him. Why do I need to look for other options? And then they're really not that other options. So do I have a choice? So instead of me being good within myself, I continue creating that fears. I continue creating that feeling of, oh my God, he doesn't want me. What if I'm going to get hurt? What if he's going to reject me? So the next things that I did, which I'm not proud of, I'm starting to, instead of being just like kind and appreciating the time that we have together, my way of being with him becoming like, the first thing that I open my mouth with, how come we're not meeting on Saturday? Or how come you didn't call me enough? Are you doing something else behind my back? Are you cheating on me? And this is like only 4 or 5 months into our knowing each other.
So then you would bring these questions to him. Okay. Gotcha.
And it's like, I want him, but I'm also rejecting him at the same time. Because I'm starting to build that, I need to get defensive here. What if he's actually cheating on me? Then I will get hurt.
Yeah.
So unconsciously, I'm starting to like, you know what? I want like the revolution thinking that this is the partnership that I want. I want to revolutionize it so that we become something, but not knowing that I'm actually doing it out of fear instead of, I really want this guy. I know there's something here. I was actually poking on the shadow, not poking, but I'm bringing the shadow. I can find out. But my goal of that relationship has becoming like, oh, let me just let him in and fit him into my house. So the big vision of a loving, kind relationship become, let's fit him into this and see if I can actually be with him instead of holding the goal, right? I think I'm making this a bit complicated, but
oh no, I'm following. So let me just recap it for you. So it's almost like you were trying, I keep using the power versus force, or there's this go-getter energy, or this like, I'm trying to force this thing to happen and I'm trying to make it be something. And my actions or your actions, I'm like acting as you, your actions were the things that you were saying were creating that situation that was unnecessary because you were trying to fit it into your box to look a specific way or to fit the relationship. And then it was trying to force this thing to evolutionize, become something, forcing it instead of allowing it to become organic and allowing that maybe there is something that has a completely different energy and a completely different feel.
yes.
The power versus force, because power just allows the space in the container to exist and allows for things to naturally flow through or to happen. Mm-hmm. The force tries to put things into a box to make it look a specific way in order to satisfy the fears, right? Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm operating continuously out of that fear, even I want the guy and I want a relationship, I keep conflicting within myself, but is this going to be good enough for me? Thinking, oh, I'm the good one. And is he the right guy? What if he's doing all these funky things behind my back? So it's starting with some small, like the way that I communicate, to then my behavior, to then why even have a relationship? And I can see this, why instead of him answering or helping me, because when you know that you're somebody that does not have, like I was at that time, was not very strong within myself, it's hard to have a relationship with a person like that. And so before I got rejected, I said, okay, I don't want this relationship. At the end, after I poked so much and I'm like, oh, maybe this is not for me. And when he said, okay, yeah, this is not for me as well, I'm like, oh, but what if he's the right one for me? So that perpetual, so instead of me getting out of myself and say, okay, what do I really want of a relationship? Then I'm starting the snowball of just good enough, not good enough, not good enough, rejected, not rejected. That's just become a snowball of creating bigger and bigger, a nastier mess out of it. To a point that we actually tried to sustain that relationship for a while. Funny enough, I guess it was our karma to be in that relationship to solve all the issue. But the learning didn't really come later until I finally realized that, wow, I'm suffering, he's suffering. Why are we in this relationship if both of us are continuously going to be suffering? But to be honest with you, I can only see that out of that perspective now from the point of view of 49 today. And I'm like, that was me. So afraid of being rejected, so afraid of not being accepted by someone, not just by someone, actually, by who I am surrounded myself with, because I was under also pressure of clock is ticking. I need to be in a relationship. If I really want a relationship, I want to be married, I have to start to have a boyfriend. And I was not allowing myself to be in a good place to be in the relationship. Of course, personal growth, right? Sometimes you don't know then until it's later over the whole thing that you realize, oh, that's what I'm supposed to change. That this is where I need to come home first before I can attract the right person. That didn't come till later, of course. But understanding it now, I'm starting to see the pattern as well in other area of my life, that this is where I'm starting to say, as part of my affirmation, is if I want something, I better get it. If I want something, I'm going to get it, but not from the place of I'm desperate for it, but I want to get it for the highest fulfillment of myself. That I'm not going to wait, because another pattern that I have, part of fearing of that rejection, is that I'm not taking the step to, like in that example, to say, okay, how can I expand myself to then receive more? Why does it have to be that one that I'm still questioning? He's also questioning. We don't know how we're dancing through it, not allowing other things to come in and play with what the energy of the other options, of other opportunities, other possibilities. And the funny enough is, I'm in the profession right now, right, as a coach, that I have to put myself out there to be rejected. That whoever that I'm approaching, the business that I'm in, I need to be rejected, because if I'm rejected, I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the funny part. If I'm fearing that rejection so much, and I know I'm doing this, is that I don't put myself out there. The same thing with acting. And acting, as we know it, is the one place that everyone will tell you the biggest thing why there are actors who are thriving and successful in their career, and those actors who are never going to make it in their career. Those actors that making it in their careers is the one that just, all right, I'm just going to go try over and over and over and over and over and over and over until I get somewhere. The one that don't make it are the one that's like, rejection is so hard. Let me go to class again and let me perfect myself, which is, there's nothing wrong with it. But then you continue going to class and never really put yourself out there because you fear the rejection. I know.
Yeah.
As well. So relationships, starting from there, this is, I guess I'm telling you how my personal development has been.
Yeah.
Is that pattern that continuously perpetuating the decisions to take actions. If I'm not conscious about it, and funny thing, this is actually in my conscious earth, right? But still, it plays out that if I don't catch it, it really then my decision making, it become more toward the shadow, which I'm not doing anything, or I continue reject things, right? Reject the good things because I'm afraid that, oh, maybe it's not enough. Maybe it's not for me. Or if I do this, then I have to be responsible of the consequences, which the consequences could also be another layer of fears, like acting, for example. If I really put myself out there, I'm being rejected, or if I'm putting myself and I get a job, but people think it sucks, what's going to happen? And that's like all these layers that if I allow that rejections or fear objections continually playing out and create more layers or fears, then I'm not going anywhere. Or if I take it from the light and, okay, this is the revolution that I want, this is what I want to get, and continue pushing myself out there. So honestly, it is a work in progress, right? I am in the thick of it, that sometimes there are days I'm like, I don't really want this. But and this is why I find the word of affirmations is really important in a lot of what we do. That's why that poem that you begin our session with, it all begins with a thought.
Yeah.
If the thought is already crappy, then that's what the reality that we're creating. But if the thoughts are what we believe in and what we want it to be, then we're like massaging it little by little into our reality, and things are coming through us. The funny thing is, I can't really think of a recent like breakthrough or aha that show up, but what was it the other day? Like the minute that you start to put that word of affirmation in, station happens so fast to a point that I'm like, what the hell? That just happened? I can't remember the example, but sometimes it's like, what was it just recently? I think I'm probably manifesting it to some, I forgot, but I can't remember right now. But there was something that just happened so fast that, oh my God, the word of affirmation is working. But I can't think of it right now.
Oh, I'm wondering if it, because you're a manifesting generator, that the things that you say, because I haven't Ava, my other manifesting generator friend, very close friend, almost like a sister. Also Leo, me and Leo women we always connect a lot. But she's the other one that she says something and immediately happens. Or she's, I'm just saying this, what I want. And then it comes to me and I'm like, that doesn't happen for me nearly as much as it happens for you.
I would reframe that because I do have a projector friend who actually manifesting faster than me. Because the minute that she said, I want an agent, because she's also an actress friend of mine. I want an agent. Within a week, she has an agent. I'm like, I want an agent. And I'm like, I still have not reached that. But also when she's determined like that, she will put everything in place to a point to even me as a generator, I'm not as convicted as she is. And then putting all the strategy in place to get. But she is one person that I'm like, whoa. And when I saw that she's a projector, I'm like, yeah.
Do you know what gates or what centers she has defined? What kind? You'll have to send me her chart because I'm like,
I will send her.
I want to see. Yeah. She says it, but because I think it's also using that example of if they can do it with my similar design, okay, I can do it too. There's that believing in yourself and believing what's possible. But the other thing that I've also noticed is that sometimes if I want something to manifest, how it manifests or what it turns out looking like surprises me. And then if it's really meant to be, or if it's like the most ideal, or it becomes even better than what I thought. And maybe it might look a little bit differently than what I originally set out to experience or what I wanted. It might be a little different, but I'm like, oh, that actually did manifest in a way that I wasn't expecting.
Actually, you were calling me last year saying, oh my God, I'm in a panic mode. I don't know where the money's going to come from, blah, 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 blah. And then a week after you got a job.
I needed it. Like, I'm like, I need this. And it's actually perfect. It's actually I'm like, okay, where's the money going to come from? Where's it coming? And then I'm just like, oh my God, I was not expecting that. But so it definitely, there is like the universe knows when I'm like, okay, you guys, I actually need this to come through. I actually need this now. I'm currently experimenting with not just having my bills paid, but then having more than enough, like more than what I need. And I'm now currently in that experimentation. And then this also thought has been coming to my head during this while we've been talking and processing. But since we've tied in a little bit of manifestation slightly, like into aligning, manifestation's more aligning with your soul's trajectory. Anytime you really want something I almost feel there's this point in the creation process that you got to completely let it go and you got to be completely content with where you're at in your life.
Yeah.
And not want it anymore and be like, whatever, I guess this is my life. You like surrender to this acceptance of I'm not expecting, it's okay. If it happens, if not, that's totally fine. And there's this sweet surrender. And it happens all the time right around this time. May, there's this weird portal in May. So if you're listening to this in the future, now we're recording this May 24th, but there seems to be, when I look back on the past and I look past the years, there always seems to be this, then June comes and it's like, whatever, my life is the way it is. It's fine. I'm not expecting anything to change. If it changes, great. If not, great. It's going to be okay. I accept this is my life. It's fine. It's fine. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And then I stop pushing or I stop cultivating. And, in farming terms, if you're farming or gardening, so springtime, winter and spring, there is like preparation and like stuff you got to do to make sure that everything is fertile for the spring. And then there's this big spring push to get things in the ground, to make sure they have all the right water, make sure that everything has the right nutrients. You've done all the prep work. You've done all the thing. And then the summer, when we're in the summer phase, there's this short lull of you have a lot more free time. You have a lot more space. You have a lot more, just let nature do its thing. Allow it to just, you don't have to work nearly as hard. You don't have to put nearly time, energy, and investment into it. Just enjoy the fruits of your labor of whatever's been cultivated so far. Because then there's going to be another big push at the end to harvest the fruits. And that's the fun part, because then there's like all these fun starts. So I feel like there's this just appreciating what you've already cultivated. So if you're listening to this now, wherever you're at, know that this is a perfect divine timing moment to hear that wherever you're at right now, it's where you're meant to be and it's all happening. And enjoy what you've already cultivated and created.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Karen, so much for sharing. Let's see. Yeah, the choices and consequences. Yeah. So that was an excellent, I love how you were able to witness this aspect about yourself and then actually come over to the other side of it, of recognizing these principles in the revolution and then allowing and creating space for whatever is wanting to happen and be and wanting to revolutionize, evolutionize in your life, in yourself, in the external world. And I love that you're actually also facing your fear of rejection and getting over it. I'm going to tie that into it too, because Millie Bobby Brown, before in the Stranger Things, young actress, right? Super young, got into it really young. She obviously, her soul's journey, knew what she wanted to do at a very early age. And yet I think that there was a point where she said, I don't know, I'm going to give up on it. I'm going to give up. I'm going to give up. Yeah. I'm going to surrender. Yeah. I'm going to let it go. Yeah. And then she had her big break. Yeah.
It's a funny thing. A lot of the actresses got the big break when they finally said, I'm out. I think I probably need to say that. I'm out. I'm out as a coach. I'm out as a healer. I'm out as an actress. I'm out. What am I going to do then? But example of a breakthrough, a recent breakthrough, I just remembered this, was when I was going into, it's actually an acting job, but it was not something that I was so excited about. And in that moment, I was like just coming in and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm like, this sucks. I don't like being here. The whole day is going to suck. And that was just running in my head. I'm like, I'm so tired. And I can literally feel in my body that I look like a mess. And in that moment, just like that little voice suddenly said, you know what? You're in control of your own mind. You're in control of your own reality. Just right there, it was like a snap. Put me back. Oh, wait, I'm in control. Okay, then I'm going to make this the best day of my life. Just like that, within a second, I just literally said, today's the best day of my life. And that day was the best day that I've ever been in that like in that place where I shot for that TV program. People were so nice. The whole thing was wrapped in less than 8 hours, because if any of you are actors out there, a shooting day never is under 12 hours. It's usually 12, 14, 16 hours. Yeah. This time I'm in and out within less than 8 hours. And people were happy. I was happy. So just in that moment, I realized, oh my God, if I would have brought what I brought that day prior to that awareness of you're the creator, you can change the reality. If I don't put that in and just quickly shift my own thoughts, the words that came in my own thoughts saying, it's going to be the best day of my day, I probably would have the worst day, because I was pretty messy. I was like grumpy. I was like, ugh. So yeah, that moment gave me that perspective. And this is after how many years now? 20, 30 years of personal development, and been saying it myself, like, you can change your reality. You can change your reality. But that moment of awareness was just mind-blowing, that nowadays when I'm beginning anything, I make the effort of shifting it. That's why I'm more and more every day. I'm like, affirmation. That's the first thing that I wake up to. And when I'm starting to feel like the first thing that I pick up, I have like notes everywhere now to just remind me of my affirmations so that I can shift the internal programming from the messy, yucky stuff to what I really want. And I guess that's part of my 49 revolution this life now.
Oh, you have to revolutionize your own thoughts. Yeah. Wow. You got to constantly, be like, hey, thoughts. So I'm the boss and we're not going to do this today. We're going to do this. We're going to say this is the best. This is the greatest day ever. And that's what we're doing. And so there, like, whip those thoughts into shape.
Yes. And for the
ninja. It's hard. It is hard because, I mean, shoot, it happens to me too. We have our thoughts and then they like to tell us stories. It was even happening right before I was recording this podcast. And then I thought about it. I'm just like, okay, where are these thoughts coming from? Or localize this in my body. And I'm like, oh, it's coming from right here. And anytime it's coming from right there, I can localize it. And then I'm just like, oh, hey, how's it going? Voice in my head. How are you today? Hey, so I hear you. I see you. I recognize you. I hear that you're having a moment. And then it quieted itself down.
Yeah.
I don't have that little thought. Not nearly. No, like it went away. I'm like, okay, I see you. I acknowledge you. That's great. I hear what you have to say. Not today. We're listening now. Like we're doing other things right now. And then it's okay. I just needed to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
This was a super awesome and very jam-packed episode today. So thank you so much for listening today. We hope that you gained some value out of this episode. We'd love to hear comments. We'd love to hear your insights. Check out the description below. You can purchase the Oracle deck online through holistichuman.design. Definitely check out the description below because all the links that you need are there, all of our offerings. Definitely, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and also comment below. We would love to hear your thoughts and insights. Come join us in our Telegram group, our free group. Come ask your questions. That place is just a free meeting ground to share insights for the day, offerings that we have, and then sharing human design, real life experiments, and seeing what's happening with yourself and in your experiment, and help you transform your consciousness and your life from the inside out.